as apparently one of the LinkedIn creators to have a talk with the people that I'm connected to, some of whom I've been connected to for the past 10 years. My first LinkedIn Live was yesterday night. It was a test, and I did have to bring it to an end quite quickly. But today, I just want to take an opportunity to see who's around, who's in, and who is tuning in. The main topic for today, I hope this thing is still hearing me. The main topic for today is the metaverse and also taking a look at remote hearings. And I just need to do a few checks. I just want to see what people on LinkedIn are seeing. So I'm just going to come out of just need to change windows for a moment. Just give me a moment. Just reduce that. Reduce that. Just want to make sure that everybody is able to hear me. So it's a very powerful feature, I do think. Okay. Profile. Now, for anybody who hasn't done so already, do follow the instructions on the banner below to follow me on other social media. I guess LinkedIn, as it's meant, is a professional forum for people to make business connections. But I do have some more light-hearted content, but still of a professional nature on some of the other social media platforms. As I discussed in my test live last night, it's been a really interesting period in the legal profession, and I've got a few updates myself. For example, I wouldn't say I've made the name, but I've dealt with quite a few matters across a different number of practice areas, including personal injury, family law, and also in relation to driving offence and contract and debt. One of my matters, and do stay tuned for that, is going to the Court of Appeal sometime between the spring and the summer. So do stay tuned for information regarding that. I also want to take the opportunity to thank all of the both solicitors and also direct access clients who've instructed me over the past decade. And for those instructions, I'm very grateful. And I do wish to continue to foster good working relations with all of you on here and also my future professional and lay clients. Yes, the pandemic occurred. That meant a lot of changes for members of the legal profession. At the start, I found myself, I think one of the last cases I had is going into the Royal Courts of Justice. I believe I had a matter in the Thomas More building. And I was one of the very early adopters of using masks to go to court. I was a bit concerned about this pandemic, and I didn't quite understand. I'll be quite frank with you. This was in March 2020. I didn't quite understand what was going on.
He said, no, never do that. I'm a come.
I'll be quite frank. For me, there are lots of mixed messages going around, and I guess that was somewhat understandable. But there I was. I wasn't wearing a mask in the actual court at the time, but there I was, going on the tube to a hearing, and I was wearing a mask. The next thing you know, the whole profession, or most of the profession, shuts down. Unfortunately, there's a period where people were affected with COVID. Some, unfortunately, passed away. For them and to them and their families, I send my condolences. And there are others of us who are still here. And the profession changed. We went from a lot of attendances in person to a situation where, me personally, I had several more telephone and remote video conference hearings. And I would say, prior to that, I had taken part in telephone conference for many, many different hearings. But now I would say that especially for the less serious, and sometimes, I have had family matters, which I do. I'm not saying any of the matters that I deal with are unserious in any way, but pressing matters, I should say, have been dealt with via remote video hearing. You can see the details for contacting. I should just say at this point, if you do have any matters, particularly in London, but certainly on the outskirts, and also if there are any matters via remote hearing, you can certainly get in contact with me by ringing 0207 867 3744. I've just taken a note. I just want to thank the attendees. I can see them listed in my interface. So I won't name them, but I recognise and I see you there. So thank you very much for attending this live. Don't hesitate to use the like function. I can see that there are a number of them. A like icon, there's a clapping icon, there's even a heart icon, there is a light bulb icon, and also there is a somewhat curious faced icon, as I'll refer to it. So yes, as I say, if you do wish to instruct me, do give me a call on 0207 867 3744, or also call or send an email to info@barristers.online. You can see it down there in the banner which I have curated, also as you can see available on all other social platforms. But yes, I wanted to have a discussion about, I guess for now, it was a kind of it was a planned live, but I have sent some invites, but I'll just go on talking for the time being in any event. So I've got some questions about how the legal profession moves forward as we hear all of this talk of crypto, we hear talk of the metaverse, and how does this factor into the service that barristers, solicitors, paralegals, and even other service users, people who will be interacting with the courts, how will that play a role in the future? I wouldn't say that I'm a seer or a fortune teller by any means, but I can see a future where maybe crypto, for example, will be used, and maybe it is currently being used as currency to pay for legal services. I can see a future, and you might, there's certainly features on different platforms that I can take. I know that I take advantage of myself in relation to, for example, Decentraland, CryptoVoxel, where you could set up your own office, build your own office within those metaverses. You can, with your avatar, you go in and speak and see a client and have a discussion, and you move on from there. The payments, no doubt, will be in crypto, or maybe you can arrange payments in the traditional way. Now, there's also I've looked at something called alt space VR. Now, the main observation, and I must give this caveat, is, and I guess this might apply to all of these forums or all of these metaverses, is we must bear in mind and have consideration to confidentiality. There needs to be an understanding of the extent to which client information is protected within those I'm calling them universes, those metaverses, and maybe this is something that the professional regulators, for example, the Bar Council, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, and just generally in terms of guidance from the Law Society, whether they will provide updated regulations into how you operate in these forums,